Okay, so my speed will start in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, extended judges, and full debater. Today, we stand on the principle of critical decision that could shape the future of our society. Imagine a world where machine designed to protect us becomes the very threats we fear. Ultimate weapon in the hand of civilians could lead to chaos, danger, and more dilemmas that we are ill prepared to handle. Therefore, God argued that governments should ban all ultimate weapon for citizens. So overall, in my speech, I will present two key arguments supporting the motion. First, I'll discuss the potential of misuse and risk poses by ultimate weapon in civilians' hand. Second, I will highlight the ethical application and potential of breakdown societal norm that could arise from allowing these technology to prohibit. Firstly, I would define the key term in this motion. So, the government is a government body of a nation's state and communities. And ban is an offense or legal prohibition, and ultimately is a country or region having the freedom to governance itself or control its own affair. So, the primary group affected, the stakeholder here, by a ban of ultimate weapon for citizens would be civilians. This includes individual and community who might be concerned about the potential for misuse or unhanded harm for such weapon. Additionally, manufacturers and developers are these technology as well as researchers in the field of robotic and artificial intelligence would also be effective. First, people who are affected with this motion, firstly is civilians. A ban directly impact the safety, security, as well as limit their access as potentially powerful defensive as or offensive tool. However, it could also reduce the risk and accidental for international harm from ultimate weapon in the wrong hand. Secondly, is manufacturers and developers. A ban would likely suffocate innovation and commercial opportunity in the field of ultimate weapon developers. Thirdly is researcher. Depending on the scope of a ban, research with ultimately weapon system and related technology could be significantly impact. This could affect both academic and commercial researcher. Fourthly is law enforcement and security personnel. If ultimate weapons are banned for civilians' use, there may be argued for and against these use of law enforcement and security conduct, which can also affect the professional as well. And lastly is military. These questions significantly focus on citizens or ban of ultimate weapon for citizens would potentially influence decision and policy regarding of military use of such weapon. And since one of the most direct impact on civilians, a ban of ultimate weapons for citizens would have a broader application for various stakeholders, and including these involved for developer and a regulation of the technology. Now, moving on to my first argument is simple. Firstly, that ethical application and social breakdown. So, against allowing automation weapon for citizens related to these ethical application of their use, the weapon and ultimate weapon raised provide more question about authorities and responsibility. Who is blamed if an ultimate weapon manufacturer are deeply mistakes? So, can we trust machine to make life and death decision? So, when we introduce ultimate weapon into a civilian's life, we risk descending a society to violence and eroding the moral fabric that bind us together. A normalized legal ultimate system could create a culture that violence seen to legally solution conflict. We must ask ourselves, do we want to live in societies while life is taken with such a button, devoting apathy to human judgment? By banning these weapons, we reform our communities of ethical standard and secure a human life. Second argument is that potential of misuse and risk. The first reason we must ban of ultimate weapon for citizens is the significant risk of misuse. Ultimate weapons are designed to operate without direct human intervention. Scenario where civilians proposes and ultimately drawn a weapon system that can cause individual or a lot of harbors ill attention, the consequences could be catastrophe. If we already witnessed an instant technology could misuse the cyber attack to spread of misinformation. Now imagine the same malevolent intended to application a weapon that could independently identify the engage of target. The potential for harm is not just a theoretical, it's a turning threat to public safety, law enforcement, and national security. By banning this weapon, we take a crucial step toward protecting our community from the danger we arise from technology output, our ability to control ourselves at ends. So these are end of safety nets. So firstly is unpredictability. Legal automated weapons are dangerous and predictable to the behavior. Complex interaction between machines and learned-based authority is a dynamic operation. Text is extremely difficult to predict a behavior that could potentially lead into more. Moreover, the weapon system and predictable are designed. The program to be used are unpredictable to adore or to allow remain one step ahead of enemy system. Given the speed and skill of which they are capable of boring, Ultimate's weapon system introduces the risk of accident and rapid conflicts as escalated. So the researcher from R&A are found that the speed of Ultimate system will lead to advanced escalating from war games and include that wisely AI ultimately system could lead to advanced accelerated and crisis ability. The United Nations Institute of More Research is encouraged with this conclusion. Even if the United States are more security mission, including the system or fall form to intent, because the challenge and the risk complexity of these countries is interacting between AI ability and ultimate system of battlefield, and more generally, this result of machine and human misperceiving is signal or action that when to state of AI is enable system will lead to increase the pace and ultimately of warfare across the border or reduce the time and space available to these decade of measures. So conclusion that the path towards civil society lies on careful regulation of technology. Banning ultimate weapon for citizens is not just a precedent, it's a necessary step to protect our community from misuse and uphold our ethical standard, leads us to more gamble of our safety, our individual and humanity. Together we can choose this future where technology serve as a tool of peace, not a weapon in the chaos that we are find or advocated for developer and ultimate reason our rights were hounded. So we must ask ourselves the question, who is to blame if Ultimate's weapon malfunction to make a deadly mistake? Can we trust machine to make life and death decision? So when we introduce Ultimate's weapon in our civilized life, we risk of denying a societal imbalance eroded to more fabric that bind us together. The normalized ethical of ultimately system could create a culture that balance our own society. A normalized ethical of ultimately system could create a culture that balance a scene to legal. So the question here is that we must ask ourselves, do we want to live in a society where life is taken or pushed out of button that devolve of empathy and human judgment? By banning these weapons, we reform our community of ethical standard and security of our own life. So the path towards a safe society lie in a careful regulation of technology, AI, and banning ultimate weapon of society is not just a precaution. It's a necessary step to protect our own community of misuse and unhold our ethical standard. Let us not glamoring our own safety and humanity in our life. Together we can choose a future that technology is served as a tool of peace, not the weapon and chaos that we make in our own individual or in society that have. Can we trust machine to alive or live in death or decision? When we introduce ultimate weapon in our civil life, we risk of everything that we have in our own society, allowing ultimate weapon for citizens related to ethical application in our own use. So for these reasons, our team strongly believe this motion should fall. Thank you.